Imagine the Cubans were deported. I think 17 Cubans were deported by this government since we.
Why you sound surprised?
But that's something that Professor Rosalie Hamilton was speaking about. Human rights and the several conventions that Jamaicans have signed to. Why is it that when the refugees come to our country, we're turning them back to their country?
But at the same time, we're planning to go to Haiti, go help them fight. The two things don't go together.
Mr. Rattigan, you are more versed on international law. Why is it that we're sending back these people? The Cubans have been such great help to Jamaica for the past 30, 40, 50 years under several health relationships. And I am saying the Cubans come, you find them in the hotel. Why couldn't you say, let us find somewhere, put them and let them be industrial?
Well, this is a consistent policy. You see what they're doing with the Haitians, right? And not to mention border security or the lack thereof. But it's the same thing. There are certain things that you're supposed to do within the confines of international law when you have refugees on your shores. You have to treat them in a humanitarian fashion. And then you just can't kick people out of the country like that. They have something called due process, right? But they're not affording them that. So I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised that they did it. Cubans, Haitians, whomever. I'm not surprised because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade is a colossal failure. And all the supporting ministries.
That you love, were your girlfriend. Mr. Rattigan, I want to ask you a serious question. Do you have a personal love for Kamina Johnson-Smith? Why you take on that ministry so much? You have a passion for foreign policy? Or is that liking for Kamina Johnson-Smith?
No, it's a dislike for incompetence. It's just that. And
so you say pretty girl where drift is incompetent?
No, I'm talking about no. She heads the ministry, but I'm talking about the government in and of itself.
No, what you must tell him, Ratty, is that you don't have a difficulty with her drifting, but you don't want the foreign policy to drift along with her.
And that's exactly what it's doing. It's drifting along with her. There are serious problems. I mean, they're just too many to mention. The incompetence over at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. And so we just sit here and we just watch while they make mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. Actually, I shouldn't even say mistake because some of it looks like to be intentional. But I've said before that it's run by rank amateurs. And they just keep making me sound like a genius because they keep doing it time after time after time. So it's not just the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. It's just that they're making far more mistakes than the other ministries. And then their mistakes are highlighted because it's on the international scene. So it's not just me, it's everybody looking at it. Whereas Ministry of...
Has anyone told us what is happening with the Jamaicans jumping the border wall at Mexico?
There you go.
Repeat that, Mr. Finzi.
And by the way, some of them
give us an update about the Jamaicans jumping the border wall at Mexico.
Mexico.
We have refugees too, you know.
A friend of mine got me and tell me that in the plan to jump the border too. But I was wondering, seriously, jumping this border is a big thing. And I hear that a lot of Jamaicans are suffering on the border.
What are we doing about it?
You spoke about the grave incompetence of this government, right?
Yes.
Do you believe that Kamina Johnson-Smith should have been replaced as foreign minister?
She should have never been foreign minister.
Repeat that, Mr.
I was blunt.
Yeah, well, look, I'm answering the question that should have been asked, should she have been foreign minister? That should have been the first question. No, she should not have been foreign minister. She is, and I have my sources over in the ministry, and they've said to me that she's by far the worst and the most ill-prepared person to head that ministry. And these are not my words. These are words coming from her people.
Mr. Rattigan, so you're saying then that when you look at it,
yeah,
she's not prepared. But I believe a part of the preparation is that Jamaica doesn't have a solid foreign policy. I believe we have established that the foreign policy for Jamaica for the past 8 years has been very transactional, very whorish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, all you need to do is just look at the relationship between Jamaica and Venezuela. And that's your course in foreign relations. Just look at the relationship between Jamaica and Venezuela and how that relationship has disintegrated in front of our eyes. And very quickly too. So to the point where now we're being sued. We, meaning Jamaica, has been sued by
but if
Venezuela.
you're talking about Venezuela, you should even speak about the present dispute in the region, the Essequibo region, with Venezuela and Ghana. And how Jamaica has not been a part of the dispute resolution. It had to be my Prime Minister, Mia Motley, who had to be leading, and Comrade Ralph Gonzalez, who had to be leading the discussion about the Essequibo region. How your bro, God, your beloved Prime Minister, Mr. Finn's beloved Prime Minister, wasn't a part of those discussions.
As soon as our next conference, I will be sure to ask him.
Which conference is that, Mr. Finzi?
I don't know. I've never had one, but you must think that me and him have one where is my beloved Prime Minister. Let me show you something. You're talking about Prime Ministers. And I'm saying this without apology. If Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller was Prime Minister, the dispute would never have gotten to where it get to. But by the time Portia finished talk to both, not even both, to Guy down Venezuela and thing, we'd still have our oil deal, and Guyana wouldn't have a problem. Portia's ability
so you're saying in a time like this, Jamaica Mr. Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller. The region misses Portia.
Yes.
So would you equally argue the same thing that if it was a Percival James Patterson, he would be able to squash the problem?
I have no doubt.